Today we explore a fracture that never heals. You'll see Maya face the mirror of her past in a dim office. Her sister Lena, once a confidant, twisted vulnerabilities into playground cruelty. Hidden beneath the calm is the fear of what words can unleash forever. You will remember this. The camera lingers on Maya's face, close up, her eyes fixed on some invisible point beyond the lens. The therapy office is dim, a single lamp casting muted shadows across the walls. She sits rigid, fingers twisting the edge of her sleeve, breath shallow like she's holding back a storm. I don't know where to start, Maya says, voice barely above a whisper. Her words hang, heavy with the weight of years unspoken. Dr. Hale nods from across the room, her presence a quiet anchor. No judgment, just space. Flashback cuts in. A cramped childhood bedroom, sunlight slanting through cracked blinds. 8-year-old Maya clutches a diary, pages filled with scribbled secrets about her fears, her dreams. Lena, younger, peeks over her shoulder, eyes wide with that mix of curiosity and envy. "What's that?" Lena asks, innocent at first. But then the words spill out. Maya's vulnerabilities, her hidden shames, weaponized in a playground taunt the next day. Maya's scared of the dark, like a baby. Laughter echoes, sharp as glass. Maya's face crumples, but she swallows it, forces a smile. Calm, always calm. The pain buries deep. Back in the office, Maya's jaw tightens, a knot of tightness coiling in her chest. She glances at the small mirror on the therapist's desk. Fractured at the edge, a hairline crack spiderwebbing from one corner. It catches her reflection in pieces, distorted, incomplete. Like her. "It started then," she continues, voice cracking. "Lena took what I trusted her with and twisted it. Made me the joke. I learned to hide, to be silent. If I didn't react, it couldn't hurt, right? Protective silence. That's what I called it in my head." Dr. Hale leans forward slightly. "And now? Does that silence still protect you?" Maya's eyes well up, but she doesn't look away from the mirror fragment. Her reflection stares back, fragmented but whole in its brokenness. The tightness eases, just a fraction, shoulders dropping, breath deepening. "No," she admits, the word a release. "It traps me, keeps the wound open, festering. But saying it out loud, God, it feels like shattering everything. Like I'll fall apart if I let it out." The room falls quiet, the unspoken question lingering. Can she name the pain without breaking for good? Maya's hand hovers near the mirror, as if testing the crack, ready, almost, to touch the truth. As the session's weight lingers into the next day, Maya's phone buzzed on the cluttered kitchen table, the screen lighting up like a flare in the dim morning haze. She wiped flour from her hands, prepping for another uncelebrated bake sale at the community center, and glanced down. The notification from Instagram twisted her gut. A post from Lena's account, time-stamped just minutes ago. There it was, the photo. Maya at last week's panel discussion, mid-sentence, her face earnest under the spotlights, as she talked about resilience in fractured families. Lena had captioned it, "Big sis dropping wisdom bombs again. Who knew therapy could turn pain into a TED Talk? Family secrets. Judge, humble brag or humble lie?" The likes were already piling up. Friends, distant cousins, strangers chiming in with laughing emojis and sly comments. "Sounds familiar," one read. "Bet there's more to the story." Another, laced with that veiled edge, like a knife sheathed but ready. Indignation surged through Maya, hot and immediate, flushing her cheeks as she scrolled. Each word felt like a fresh scrape against the raw edges of old wounds. Lena, always twisting the knife with a smile, turning Maya's hard-won milestones into punchlines. The post wasn't just snark. It was sabotage, public and precise, chipping at the fragile platform Maya had built from years of quiet rebuilding. Her fingers tightened around the phone, knuckles whitening. How many times had she let this slide, swallowing the bile to keep the peace? But now, with Amir's supportive text from earlier still glowing in her mind, "Proud of you today." The silence felt like complicity, a slow poison seeping into her veins. She set the phone down, but the image lingered. Not the post itself, but the unmentioned entry in her old diary, tucked away in a drawer upstairs. That faded blue journal, its pages filled with scribbled confessions from their teenage years. Entries Lena had once glimpsed, weaponized in whispers during family dinners. It sat there still, unlocked but unspoken, a silent witness to the betrayals that fueled posts like this. Maya paced the linoleum floor, heart pounding. The comments kept coming, a digital mob egged on by her sister's subtle barbs. Stay quiet, and it festers. Speak, and the war goes viral. By the time Amir knocked on the door, Maya was at the sink, staring at her reflection in the window, fractured by rain streaks, but resolute. "You saw it?" he asked softly. She nodded, the spark of readiness igniting behind her eyes. No more hiding. The question hung unspoken. How long could she watch herself diminish without raising her voice? That evening, as the post's echo faded into deeper conversation, the dim glow of the living room lamp cast long shadows across the cluttered coffee table, where Maya's phone lay face up like a dormant threat. She paced the worn rug, her bare feet silent against the fibers, while Amir sat on the edge of the couch, elbows on knees, watching her with that steady gaze that always made her feel seen without being pinned. "I can't keep doing this," Maya said, her voice a tight wire. "Lena's post, it's everywhere now. People are DMing me, asking if it's true, if I'm the one who abandoned her. And I want to scream back. But what if it blows up again? Like last time when she twisted everything and I ended up apologizing for breathing." Amir nodded slowly, not interrupting, letting the words hang. The air between them felt thick, charged with the unsaid, her fear of the explosion, the way Lena's barbs always landed deepest because they knew where to cut. Maya's hand trembled as she picked up the phone, thumb hovering over the screen. There it was, the draft message half-typed in the Notes app, a ghost of words she'd deleted and rewritten a dozen times. "Lena, this has to stop. Your version isn't the truth, and it's hurting more than you know." She showed it to him, the screen's blue light etching lines on her face. "See? Even this feels like lighting a fuse. How do I say it without her turning it into another war?" Amir leaned forward, his voice calm, anchoring. "You're not the one starting fires, Maya. She's already thrown the match with that post. Silence lets it burn you alone. What if you respond, not to fight, but to claim your side? Publicly, like she did. Make it clear, without the venom." Her breath hitched, anxiety coiling tighter in her chest, visions flashing, childhood arguments escalating into slammed doors, Lena's tears weaponized to make Maya the villain. But as Amir's words settled, something shifted, a spark against the dread. She wasn't just reacting anymore. She was choosing. The draft stared back, no longer a trap, but a tool. Fear still gnawed, but beneath it, resolve flickered, urging her toward the edge. "Maybe," she murmured, pocketing the phone, her steps slowing from frenzy to purpose. But how do I tell the truth without it all igniting? The question lingered, unanswered, as the room held its breath. In the days that followed, building on that resolve, the therapy office felt like a held breath, walls lined with muted grays and a single window filtering afternoon light into hazy beams. Dr. Serena Hale sat across from Maya, her posture open but unyielding, notepad balanced on her knee like a quiet anchor. Maya hunched forward, fingers twisting the hem of her sweater, eyes fixed on the floor where a faint crack spiderwebbed the tile, unnoticed until now, mirroring the fracture she carried inside. "You've described Lena's words as arrows," Dr. Hale said softly, her voice measured, probing without pressure. "But what do they hit? That core spot she knows too well. Naming it isn't weakness, Maya. It's the first step out of hiding." Maya's throat tightened, a knot of confusion swelling. Confusion. That fog where memories blurred into shame, where Lena's casual barbs on social media echoed like judgments from their shared childhood bedroom. I can't," she whispered, shaking her head. The room spun inward, her pulse a erratic drum. Admitting it meant peeling back the scar tissue, letting the old bleed fresh. Lena had always known how to twist it. The fear of being unlovable, the little girl who watched her parents' fights and learned silence as survival. If I say it out loud, it's real. She wins. Dr. Hale leaned in slightly, her eyes steady. Or you reclaim it. What is the wound she weaponizes? The one that makes you doubt your own voice? Maya's gaze lifted, catching her reflection in the small, decorative mirror on the wall. A thrift store find, its surface etched with a hairline fracture from some forgotten drop. She stared, one half of her face sharp, defiant, the other blurred, shadowed, as if the glass couldn't hold her whole. The split mocked her, a visual echo of the divide Lena exploited. The part of Maya that craved sisterly bond warring with the part that recoiled from the sabotage. Confusion churned, hot and disorienting, memories flashing. Lena's teenage taunts. "You're just like Mom, always playing victim," laced with that intimate cruelty only blood could wield. But the doctor's words hung there, pulling her toward clarity. "It's abandonment," Maya finally breathed, the word escaping like a confession, raw and trembling. Not just fear of loss, but the deeper ache. The belief that her needs made her disposable, a vulnerability Lena fired at like live ammo in every argument, every post that painted Maya as fragile, unreliable. Saying it aloud cracked the fog. Realization flickered, tentative but real. This wasn't defeat. It was the wound's name, the start of boundaries she could draw herself. Dr. Hale nodded, a subtle warmth in her expression. "There it is. And now, what does that truth do for you?" Maya touched the mirror's edge, fingers tracing the break. For the first time, the fracture didn't terrify. It mapped a path to mend on her terms. But the core question lingered, unanswered in full. How deep did Lena's aim truly go? With that naming echoing forward, tension built toward the family gathering, where the family dining room hummed with the low clatter of silverware. The air thick with the scent of overcooked roast and unspoken grievances. Maya sat rigid at the worn oak table, her fingers tracing the edge of her water glass, the cool condensation grounding her against the tide of old hurts. Across from her, Lena lounged with a half smile, her phone propped casually beside her plate like a loaded gun. Aunt Clara and Uncle Ray picked at their food, eyes darting like wary birds, while Amir's hand rested lightly on Maya's knee under the table, a silent anchor. "So, Maya," Lena said, her voice syrupy sweet, slicing through the murmur of small talk. How's that therapy gig treating you? Still unpacking all those deep wounds from our perfect childhood? She air-quoted with manicured nails, her laugh a brittle trill that echoed off the walls. The room stilled. Clara's fork paused mid-air. Ray cleared his throat, mumbling something about the weather. Maya's chest tightened, a familiar ache blooming. Disappointment, sharp as shattered glass. Not here, not now, when she'd mustered the courage to show up, to try for some semblance of normalcy. Lena's words landed like barbs, unraveling the fragile progress Dr. Hale had helped her stitch together. "It's not a gig, Lena," Maya replied, her voice steady but edged, the offense coiling in her gut. "It's work, real work to move past the things you keep dragging up." Lena leaned forward, eyes gleaming. "Oh, please. You're the one turning family drama into a therapy sob story. Remember when you cried for days over that stupid diary? Now it's all boundaries and healing. Grow up, sis. We're family. We don't need shrinks to fix what's not broken." She flicked her gaze to the others, inviting complicity. Clara shifted uncomfortably, murmuring, "Lena, that's not fair." But her tone wavered, loyalty fracturing like the antique mirror on the far wall, its surface spiderwebbed from some long-ago accident, reflecting Maya's face in distorted shards. One eye fierce, another weary. The offense surged, hot and humiliating, Maya's pulse thundering in her ears. She could taste the retreat, the old urge to swallow it all, to let silence bury the hurt again. But Amir's grip tightened, his whisper low. "You've got this. Don't let her rewrite you." His words pierced the fog, pulling her back. No more. The disappointment twisted into something firmer, determination, raw and unyielding. She met Lena's stare, the room's tension coiling tighter, external and suffocating, pressing against her skin. "It's not about fixing you, Lena," Maya said, her voice rising clear, no longer a victim's tremor, but a deliberate stand. "It's about me not letting you shatter what I've rebuilt. Every time you mock this, you prove why I need it." Lena's smile faltered, the family tableau frozen. Clara's averted eyes, Ray's uneasy cough, Amir's nod of quiet pride. The rift yawned wide, undeniable. As the conversation splintered into awkward silences, Maya glanced at the fractured mirror again, her splintered reflection staring back, piecing itself, edge by jagged edge. How could she hold this line, resist the pull of their expectations, without losing the boundaries she'd only just claimed? The dinner's fallout propelled Maya toward a deeper reckoning, leading her to the camera for an intense interview confession, where the camera lingers on Maya's face, soft light pooling in the hollows of her eyes, turning them into shadowed mirrors. She sits rigid in the interview chair, fingers twisting a tissue into knots, the muted grays of the studio wall pressing in like unspoken accusations. "It was the summer I turned 12, she begins, voice a thin thread pulling taut. "Lena and I shared everything. Secrets whispered under the covers, the kind that bind you tighter than blood. I told her about the bullying at school, how the kids called me freak for my stutter, how it made me feel like I was cracking inside. She listened, eyes wide, promising she'd never let anyone hurt me like that." A pause, her breath catching. The interviewer nods silently, but Maya feels the lens devouring her, broadcasting this fracture to strangers who might pity or judge. Pain surges first, hot and familiar, like salt in an old wound, the betrayal replaying in flashes. Lena, years later, at a family gathering, mimicking Maya's childhood stammer to the room's laughter, twisting that sacred confidence into a weapon. "She used it against me," Maya whispers, throat tightening, "in front of everyone." My own sister, turning my shame into her punchline. It shattered me. I saw myself in pieces, reflected back as weak, unlovable. The words hang, external tension coiling as she imagines Lena watching this, rewriting the narrative online. Maya's always been dramatic. Public compassion floods in. Comments she'll read later, strangers urging her to speak. But it clashes with the terror gnawing deeper. What if this openness hands Lena the knife again? What if control slips and the scars bleed public? Yet, as she speaks, the pain shifts, edges softening into something bearable. In the camera's unblinking eye, she glimpses her reflection. Fractured, yes, but held together by her own gaze, pieces glinting with quiet defiance. I carried that silence for years, she says, voice steadying. Thinking if I buried it, it'd heal. But naming it now, it's not losing control. It's claiming the truth. The interviewer leans in, but Maya looks past, into the void of the lens, wondering if this past can anchor her without letting Lena shatter it anew. My self-worth crumbles every time you do it. I need you to see that. Acknowledge it. Lena's eyes flicked to the diary, then away, her lips curling into a familiar smirk. She leaned back, arms crossed. Acknowledge? Oh, please. You're the one dragging up ancient history, playing victim in therapy like it's some badge of honor. If you're so wounded, why parade it now? I was just being honest. Everyone knows you've always been the dramatic one. The denial hit like a slap, flipping the script. Maya's pulse raced, heat rising, but she held her gaze. Honest? You know exactly what you're doing. You weaponize my vulnerabilities to keep control, to make me small so you don't feel overlooked. I've stayed silent too long, but not anymore. Admit it, Lena. Just once. Lena laughed, sharp and brittle, glancing at Amir as if he were the audience. Admit what? That you can't handle a little truth? Fine, go ahead. Tell the world. I'll post everything. Your diary secrets, your breakdowns. See how that self-worth holds up in public? The threat hung heavy, external pressure squeezing the air from the room. Amir shifted, his jaw tight. But Maya didn't look away. Tension twisted into something firmer, determination rooting in her core. She closed the diary slowly, not retreating, not silencing the ache. Do it if you have to. But I won't let your lies define me anymore. Her words lingered, a boundary drawn in the space between them, as Lena's smirk faltered just a fraction. Would Maya hold this line? Or would the old silence creep back in? As Lena doubled down in the escalating exchange, the dim cafe corner felt like a confessional booth, shadows pooling under the single hanging lamp. Maya slid the unlocked diary across the scarred wooden table, its pages splayed open like a wound. This is what you did, Lena. You took my words from childhood, my fears, my secrets, and twisted them into weapons. Remember the entry about Dad's abandonment? You posted it online, made me the punchline for your relatable feed. Lena's eyes flicked to the diary, then away, her lips curling into a practiced smirk. She leaned back, arms crossed, the steam from her untouched coffee curling like smoke signals of denial. You're delusional, Maya. Always have been. That evidence? It's just your paranoid scribbles. If anyone's sabotaging, it's you. Clinging to old grudges like a victim card. You think therapy makes you enlightened? It just makes you bitter. The words landed like slaps, each one echoing the family dinner's ridicule, the social media barbs that had chipped at Maya's edges for years. Lena leaned in, voice dropping to a venomous whisper. Keep pushing this, and I'll tell everyone the real story. How you begged me to cover for your breakdowns. How weak you really are. They'll see through your little boundary act. Powerlessness crashed over Maya like a wave, her knees buckling as she gripped the table's edge. The world tilted. In her periphery, a wall mirror, framed in chipped gold, reflecting their fractured faces, trembled from a passing truck's rumble outside. It slipped from its hook, shattering on the floor in a cascade of silver shards, each piece catching the light like scattered truths. Maya sank to her chair, breath shallow, the cafe's murmur fading to a roar in her ears. Victim again, exposed, the sibling bond a noose tightening. Amir, seated beside her, tensed, his hand hovering near hers but not touching, witness to the refusal, the chasm widening. Lena's eyes gleamed with triumph, but Maya felt something stir beneath the collapse. A quiet fire, not rage, but resolve. No more marionette strings, boundaries, not silence. She'd mapped them out. Limited calls, no unfiltered access. Therapy as her shield. The shards on the floor glinted up at her, pieces she could reassemble on her terms. Lena stood, tossing coins on the table. See? You break every time. But as she walked away, Maya didn't chase. The question hung in the fractured air. Would this assault finally shatter her, or forge the edges sharp enough to cut free? From that breaking point, Maya rose to share her choice publicly, where the camera lingers on Maya's face, close up in the dim glow of the studio lamp. A soft, unwavering light that mimics the one in Dr. Hale's office, casting her features in quiet clarity against the muted grays of the backdrop. Her hands rest steady on the table. No tremor now, just the faint crease of resolve in her brow. The interviewer leans in, microphone poised, but Maya doesn't wait for the prompt. She speaks first, voice measured, cutting through the hush like a line drawn in sand. I've spent years folding myself into silence to keep the peace, she says, eyes fixed on the lens, not flinching, letting Lena twist my words, my fears, into weapons that cut deeper each time. The posts, the dinners, the whispers. It's all been a game where I lose if I play. No more. Her words build, not in fury, but in the steady rhythm of someone reclaiming ground. The audience beyond the screen, faceless viewers tuning in for this raw confessional, holds its breath. A few murmurs ripple through the live chat, support flickering like distant stars. She pauses, the therapy light catching the edge of her jaw, illuminating the scar of old doubt now hardening into something unbreakable. I'm done being the target. That means distance, real boundaries, not the flimsy ones I've let erode before. No more unfiltered access to my life. No more public trials of my vulnerabilities. The conflict hangs there, taut, her declaration a shield raised high, yet her tone softens just enough, a calculated opening. But if there's dialogue, Lena, it happens on my terms. Structured, with a mediator if needed. No ambushes, no exploitation. I'm offering that door, not wide open but cracked, because part of me still remembers the sister before the sabotage. The interviewer nods, probing gently. And if she pushes back? If this goes public too? Maya's gaze doesn't waver. The light holds her steady, transforming the knot of determination in her chest into a calm, unyielding confidence. She exhales, shoulders easing. Then I've already won. By speaking this truth, I'm free, regardless. Applause filters in from the studio wings, a wave of affirmation crashing soft as her words echo into the ether. But in the quiet beat that follows, the question lingers unspoken. Will this boundary hold against the pull of blood, or will the crack invite the storm back in? In the cathartic aftermath of that declaration, Maya returned to therapy for resolution, where the therapy office bathed in a soft, amber glow from the desk lamp, its light pooling like a quiet anchor amid the muted grays of the room. Dahert, Serena Hale sat across from Maya, her notebook open but untouched, eyes steady behind wire-rimmed glasses. Maya leaned forward in the armchair, fingers tracing the edge of a coaster, her voice threading the air with deliberate calm. "I've been turning this over for weeks," Maya began, her tone edged with resolve, like a blade testing its own sharpness. "Forgiveness isn't waving a white flag. It's not inviting Lena back in without conditions. It's me, choosing to release the hold she has on my anger, but only on my terms. Boundaries first, always." Dr. Hale nodded, her expression a mirror of encouragement, not intrusion. "Tell me how that feels now, after the announcement." Maya's gaze flicked to the lamp, its beam catching the faint lines of exhaustion under her eyes. The light seemed to steady her, pulling her thoughts from the shadows. "It felt like war at first. Me against her sabotage, against the old guilt that said I owed her my silence. But in that studio, declaring the distance, the rules for any contact, it shifted. I forgave myself for the years I stayed quiet. And in forgiving that, I could see her not as the villain I built, but as someone broken too. Still, I won't let her near until she owns it. No more diaries unlocked, no more posts twisting my words. That's the line." A flicker crossed her face. Residual heat, the ghost of rage rising like steam. But she exhaled, shoulders easing. The resolve softened into something gentler, a quiet acceptance settling in her posture. "Amir gets it. He holds space without pushing. And you? You've shown me this light isn't just for uncovering wounds. It's for seeing my worth clearly. Reconciliation? Maybe someday, if she steps into it. But my peace? That's mine now." Dr. Hale leaned in slightly. "And if she doesn't?" Maya's lips curved, not in defeat, but in quiet power. "Then I've still won. The story ends with me whole." The lamp's glow held her words, unanswered questions lingering in the warm hush. Could this guarded forgiveness truly rewrite their bond? Or would the boundaries stand eternal?